Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I set up my raised garden bed for my cut flower garden. This year, I decided that I wanted to add farm fresh bouquets to our farm stand, and my best way of doing this was in a raised garden bed. So this is definitely beginner friendly and hopefully will come together pretty quickly. In this video, I'm going to be using a 4x8 garden bed that I purchased on Amazon. If you would like the link to this garden bed, it's actually in my Amazon storefront. There are 2 beds in this pack and it was $48. This bed came together very quickly. The 4 sides popped up and just assembled with 3 bolts each, and then there was some stabilizing rods in the middle. I also really like about this bed that it is only 12 inches tall, which is the perfect amount of soil for most flowers, and it was lightweight, so once it was all assembled, it was very easy for me to move it to its final destination. So I ended up deciding I was going to put this near my vegetable garden. My long-term plan of putting it here was that it will make it easier for me to water it. So I'm going to hand water it for the first couple weeks just to make sure that my seeds are getting enough to germinate. But then after that, I'm going to be running a sprinkler for my vegetable garden. So this was the perfect setup. This will get hit by the sprinkler too. You'll notice that this bed is already prepped. About a week or 2 ago, I put down a bunch of cardboard to kill off the sod. And so that is what I'm kind of like digging up here to make sure that the bed sets nice. And then I am going to add in my garden soil and my fertilizer to give my plants their best start at life. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wet this bed down, and then I'll be topping it with all my garden soil and my fertilizer. This just gives the seeds a nice moist environment in which to germinate. You can also take your seeds and put them in like a wet piece of paper towel or something like that in the house until they sprout, which is usually a day or 2. But for me, I'm a lazy girl and I just want to direct sow everything. So first I'm going in with a bunch of garden soil. This ended up taking me about 6 bags just because I wanted to have a good depth since I am going to be putting some dahlia tubers in here. I picked a soil that is made for vegetable gardens and flower gardens. It's kind of an all-in-one and it has cow manure in it. I got it at Menards for $6 a bag. All right, so we've added all that dirt and it was very dry, so I'm just getting it wet again. And then I decided to put some cardboard on top of my soil. Now this might seem backwards since I loaded the bottom of this with cardboard, but that's because it is. I just had to move the cardboard out of Tyler's way because he is weed whacking the garden. Now back to our regular scheduled programming. So if you guys missed the video, I did make a video of exactly how I came up with this exact garden plan for this 4x8 bed. And this is when we're about to put that plan to work. So I'm going to be spacing this 4x8 bed into 1 foot by 1 foot, so 12 inch by 12 inch squares. And within those squares, I've planned out exactly how many tubers for my dahlias or seeds for my zinnias, cosmos, sunflowers that I'm going to be planting. I have also made a succession planting plan. Why succession plant? Well, the reason we're succession planting is because I want to have blooms for these bouquets all season long. So this is going to make it so that once a week I'm planting a couple seeds and I'm always going to have blooms coming throughout the season. If you're new to succession planting or you want this garden plan, I would really recommend that you check out that other video. So the first things that I'm planting are these chrysanthemums. Now these are a florist variety of mums, and I picked a few really pretty ones, so I am going to put those in the bottom as well in the description. These ones are from Bluestone Perennials. They were shipped directly to my door and they come in these coconut husks, so you just wet them down, and then as I'm burying them in the soil, those coconut husks will break down and actually act as fertilizers. So the nice thing about these is that they are cut in a come again flower and you get huge blooms. Like they give dahlia vibes, but they're a chrysanthemum. So next we're going to sow our zinnias. Now I'm not going to lie to you, these are one of my favorite cut and come again flowers and also arguably one of the easiest to grow. So again, we're succession planting. I'm not going to get 100% into that plan. There's another video for that if you'd like it. But basically this first week, I'm only going to be planting a few of these, but I am going to cover the other squares so that grass seed, etc. doesn't get in there. And then I will be planting zinnias on weeks 1, 3, 5, and 7 of this cut garden plan. A thing with the zinnias that I've decided to do is buy a variety of colors. I wanted my bouquets to be like kind of a sunset, pinks, yellows, oranges, those kinds of colors. And then I randomly found a green zinnia, so I bought those too. So basically, you're going to pick whatever variety of colors that you want and then plant them accordingly, keeping in mind that the order in which you plant them is the order in which they will bloom. Also, just so that I can stay on track, I rip off the top of my seed packet and put it exactly where the ones I planted are, and then I write it down on my garden plan later, because otherwise you have no idea what you put in this bed by the time stuff starts coming up. So next, I'm using straw as a basic mulch. You can also use actual mulch. You can use the black tarp plastic that people use in their flower beds. It really doesn't matter what you use. I picked this because I always have it on hand with my chickens and stuff. But basically, you just want to cover the footage in which you're not going to be planting anything. Also, just a side note, this is only something you need to do if you're not planting a cover crop. If you want more information on cover crops, I'm going to make a video about that later too. But since I'm not going to be planting cover crops, this is what I'm doing. This just keeps other seedlings, grass seed, stuff that's blowing around in the wind from invading your garden bed and makes for less weeding down the road. Okay, you guys, and now here comes my favorite cut and come again flower that I have been waiting to have a good setup for. So thankfully, I was actually able to buy these from a local farm, and I'm really excited about that as well. At my Battle Creek Farmers Market, Under the Sun, she sells some great dahlia tubers. Every single tuber I bought from her bloomed. So definitely check her out. I was able to pick a variety of colors. Again, I did some neutrals, I did some oranges, some pinks, some reds, and even threw a purple in there because the sunset vibe that I'm going for, she needs a little variety here and there. These are dahlias. So dahlias are grown from what is called a tuber and honestly looks a lot like a potato. You can even eat them. Fun fact. So this is what they look like. How cute. This little part up here at the top is called the eye, and much like when planting potatoes, we're going to plant that part up. So with these, I'm actually going to plant all 12 of my dahlia tubers right now because they will continue to bloom all season, and then at the end of the season, we can actually save these tubers and plant them again next year. So a lot of people that I have found who are just getting into cut gardening like me, they are a little bit hesitant to buy a lot of dahlias just because they're expensive. Well, they're expensive for a reason because if you do it right, you can buy them once and then never have to buy them again. So as you can see, I am just loosely burying these, and most of them look like they're laying flat, but the eyes are pointing up, which is the most important thing here. And all of these dahlias, like I said, they did bloom, and I'm giving each of them about 1 square foot in the garden. So we will have plenty of dahlias later in the season. And dahlias, again, are another one that once they grow to a certain height, you're going to want to pinch them. I also pinched my zinnias, and this encouraged more blooms and longer stems, which was great for my vase life. Next, we're going to get into the final 2 flowers for my cut garden, cosmos and sunflowers. So here I basically marked out my square foot for sunflowers and my square foot for cosmos, and then put all of my cover mulch down at the get-go. This just made it easier for me to know exactly what spot I wanted to sow my seeds. For the sunflowers, I'm sowing 9 per square foot. And then for the cosmos, they tend to get a little bit bushier, so I'm only sowing 2 plants per square foot. There are different kinds of sunflowers, so you want to make sure that you buy the variety that you like. You want to make sure it matches your bouquet, and then you also want to make sure that it is a cut and come again if that's what you would like. So then I mulch everything once my seeds are complete because we don't want any weeds if we can avoid it. Wet it down with some water to help those seeds germinate. And if you're using a drip line, you're going to need to hand water this for a while because dahlia tubers, they don't like to be overly wet. So where the dahlias are at, I just watered once a day, but then the rest of them I would water a little bit heavier and more than once a day to help those seeds fully germinate. So that's it. That's my entire cut garden plan. It took less than an hour, and then every couple weeks I'll do my succession sowing. So I kept my seeds in my handy rotisserie chicken container. But this is a great way to get started with flower gardening, and it's been super fruitful for me. So if this was helpful for you, make sure you give me a like and a subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. And in the meantime, here are just a few of the beautiful blooms that I have gotten with this cut garden.